Motor, J Motor, J Motor, J Motor, fucking name. Heckler House, Heckler House. Oh, 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 oh.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, in the news, there wasn't really anything that I saw that was really major. The same old, same old. The idea that Harris is going to win is just redonkulous. But anyways, there's nothing new, nothing that I saw that was major that I could tell. Unless the Democrats, pull some shenanigans out of their ass, they're gonna lose, and they know it. So, anyways, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm gonna talk to you about this week. I just got finished watching Alone Australia Season 2 and Canada Alone Season 11. I call it Canadian because that's literally what it is. It's not a United States show, it's a Canadian show. They may say it's United States, but no, it's Canadian because they have their heads stuck in Canada. Or Canada. Oh my god. Canada. Sorry. I hate that too when people pronounce shit wrong. Sorry. Canada. I don't know why I was calling Canadian. Anyways. So, the Australian version, Season 2, they went back to the way it normally would be. A guy won the show. And he was even surprised that he won. Some dude named Christopher or whatever. And the way they pronounced his name, or spelt his name, is a really weird spelling. It's like Krizotter or something. It was a weird spelling. That's all I remember. But he was surprised he won the competition. Actually was to be honest, I didn't think he was the one that was going to win, but he did. It was all okay. See, yeah, it was all right. I'm kind of getting burnt out with the Alone series, which is okay because it's going to be a while before they get another season going. So I just finished watching Season 11. They just got done with it for the Canada version. Now, let's recap. The guy who won the Season 11 version, no, I didn't think he had some strange accent, almost like an Irish accent. It was really weird. But he's from Canada, so I don't know why he would have, it wasn't a French accent. It was more like Irish. It was weird. Anyway, he's the one who won. Good for him. I can't remember the dude's name. I actually thought the guy Timber was going to win. Because He's the only one who shot down a moose or big game this last season. I thought, and he still had plenty of food. So I'm kind of surprised he went home, but he did. He bowed out, bailed. Anyways, let's recap. So, Alone is about, it's not a survival show. It is a starving competition. Because, let's face it, every single season, they're all, I'm starving. I can't take it anymore. I can't find no food. I've got all these snares out, but I can't find no food. I can hunt with the bow and arrow, but I can't find no food. Oh, I can fish, but I can't get no fish. So, that's literally the name of this game. Is how long can you outlast your competition and not starve to death? So it's a starving survival show. That's what it is. It's not a survival. It's a starving competition. Alright, a second thing we need to recap on. That was the biggest deal of all the seasons, all the shows. The starving. Even though some of them had food stashed away, it was still the starving. The next one. The show relies extremely heavily on the competitors missing their families and talking about their families, how they miss them. They can't live without them. They miss their children. Yada, 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 yada. Someone died in their family. Drama about their families. And that's usually the main thing they almost every single time tap out on. Is because they miss their families. Okay. You're telling me you cannot be away from your family for more than a couple months, max. Oh, God, no, I can't stand it. I gotta see my family. That's literally the majority of the show. The clips they show of these people, them talking about their families and blah, blah, blah. It's drama. And that's the part I absolutely hate about this show. Hate it. I don't want to hear about your fucking family. I don't give a fuck about your family. More power to you. You know, it's not that I just don't want to hear about it. You're on a competition show. All I want to see and hear about is how you're fucking surviving. Not your fucking family. That's a whole different show. Anyways. Alright, the next one. The next big thing. Number 3. All the women that they bring on this show, I think I saw 1 or 2 who may not have been feminist. All the other women are flat out feminists. And they only have one real skill. And all the women, some of the guys know the skill, But the women, all they care about is herbs, the plants. They're amateur botanists. It's just, that's all they know is, herbs and shit. They barely know how to fish or hunt. Barely. I think there was one woman on one season who's like, I've won competitions and fishing, blah, blah, blah. And she couldn't even fucking fish worth a fuck. So I'm like, yeah. Whatever. Anyways. So yeah, they're all amateur botanists. They're all feminists. It was just ridiculous. And again, they all talked about their families too, but whatever. That was the vast majority of all the women. The fourth thing. On this show, they literally I don't know, it's wild, but they all want to talk about how they're surviving, how they have all these skills, and yet that all goes out the window. It's like these people would not survive. In fact, the vast majority of the population of Earth, I promise you, would not survive an apocalyptic event. Like, a scenario where a fallout scenario. The bombs fell. Some type of virus, plague, or whatever. An apocalyptic event where most of the population's been wiped out. These people would not survive. They're so babied and pampered. They're used to just going to the store, the grocery store, to get food or fast food. They really do not know how to grow their own shit, hunt and all that crap. They literally, I'm telling you, you being out in the backyard, your backyard, for 2 fucking weeks and teaching a survival skill class, which you really don't know the fuck you're talking about, is not survival skills. So it's kind of redonkulous. It's just wild to me that they would have people who really don't know what the fuck they're doing on this show. And the UK version was the worst one. They're not supposed to tell the competition how many people remain. They're not supposed to know till the very end. But they were telling people, before the show, the UK version, not the Australian and Canadian version, but the UK version. They were telling people how many people were left when they were doing med checks. I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy. You're not supposed to do that. Anyways, another thing that drove me nuts was all these people are over 50. The vast majority of them. Not all of them. There was a couple 30-year-olds or whatever. Maybe a couple 40-year-olds. But most of these people were all over 50 years old. They very rarely had someone who's, in their 20s. I think there was 1 or 2 that may have been in their 20s. And they didn't want to do it. As soon as they found out what it was going to be like, they were gone like first day. Gone. They didn't stick around. The UK version, they had a few young women on there, but they were all like oh, I'm a product designer, or, you know, I do something in marketing or some shit like really? They're not even survivalists. They don't know any skills. What the fuck are they doing out there? That made no sense. The last complaint I had about the show was they only did 2 seasons where they were somewhere else. Now the Australian version stuck close to Australia. They did something in Tasmania and they did something in New Zealand. But they were very close to Australia, and it had to be somewhere where the temperatures got like super fucking cold. In the Canadian version, it was always Canada. Somewhere in Canada. And the temperatures always had to drop down to 0. They only did 2 seasons where they were somewhere else. One, they went somewhere down in South America for like season 2, I think. And then in season 5, I think it was 5, which was my favorite season out of all the shows. They went to Mongolia. And that was fucking awesome. Like, that's the best season out of all the other seasons. I like the fact that they went somewhere else in a different fucking country. There's other places to fucking go. They don't need to stay in fucking Canada. I almost didn't watch all the seasons because of that. Other than that, the show's okay. Except for the recaps and complaints I've had. The main reason I watched the show to begin with is because I liked seeing them, some of the shit that they were crafting, whatever, to try to survive out there. But then it just got Donnius. You know, they were doing the pretty much same shit over and over again. Anyways, that's all I have for you about the Alone series. It's okay, but I think they need to change it up. I think they need to go somewhere where it's extremely hot, like the desert, Africa, something like that, and try to survive an environment like that, not just the fucking freezing cold. And they need to go to different places, not stay in Canada. Other than that, the show's okay. Check it out if you want. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's going to be a while before they get to another season of Alone. Alright, let's get on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, Movieholics, this week is Fantasy Week. Now, I went with a couple of movies that some of you may never even have heard of. I know one of them probably was way off your radar, didn't even notice that it was made. Both of these were made from a book series. I've never read any of the books, so I don't know anything about the books. In fact, I didn't even know anything about them until the movies were made. The first one was done in 2007 and made about 31 million. It's called The Seeker, The Dark Rising. Started Alexander Ludwig and Francis Conroy. This one's the one that's probably wasn't even on your radar. Most people's never even heard of it. Now, any movies before 2000, high fantasy movies, I've pretty much done. I still haven't done a review on, of course, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, because everyone knows those. But that's typical high fantasy. Swords, sorcery, knights, dragons, that kind of stuff. That's high fantasy. Most of your fantasy movies that they've ever done are typically whimsical comedies, kiddie stuff. There was a slew of kiddie films like in the early 2000s, kiddie type fantasy movies like Chronicles of Narnia, Golden Compass, Inkheart, Stardust. You get what I'm saying. Them type of, has something to do with kids or teens. Percy Jackson, Chronicles of the Spiderwick Chronicles. You get what I'm saying. It was teen stuff or little kid stuff, which is okay, but it's not high fantasy. So this one, again, it's more in the kiddie fantasy realm. The Seeker is based on a series of books written for kids. The story is basically you see this in a lot of, I'm a huge fantasy reader, sci-fi fantasy, dark fantasy, and you see this a lot in fantasy books. There's always some kid who comes of age and gains powers, or finds out he's the heir to a throne that he didn't know he was, or he finds something that makes him the focal point or importance of the story. Without him, he's the chosen one, blah blah blah. You see this constantly in fantasy, all the time. It's a typical trope. This one is very similar. Alexander Ludwig's character, he becomes of age and he becomes the Seeker. Now, the Seeker is someone who can locate certain trinkets through signs or symbols. They call them signs, but they're basically trinkets that hold like elemental powers or some shit. Once he collects all 7 trinkets, excuse me, all 7 signs, symbols, he's able to defeat he will be able to defeat the darkness. There's always a dark, there's always a light. He represents the light. Now, on his journey to find these trinkets, and the way he finds them is he'll see like this particular one symbol, and then the next thing you know, he's able to step through time, go to a different time, a different place, and collect the trinket that's in the vicinity or the area he steps in time, through time. Once he gets the trinket, he's able to step back into his own time. Now there are 4 elders, or called Old Ones. They're like guardians of the light, who try to help him on his journey. They don't really explain anything to him until he almost gets killed 2 or 3 times by the dark, which made no sense, but whatever. They eventually tell him what he is and what he can do, and he's the 7th son of a 7th son, another trope that is used in fantasy quite a bit. The 7th son of a 7th son. Now, of course, you have a Dark Lord, or, you know, the leader of the dark, and he's gaining power to kill the Seeker and take the signs, because he also needs the signs in order to take over the dark. Instead of the darkness having their own Seeker, there apparently is only one Seeker, and he works for the light. And the dark has to steal him from him, which makes no sense. But whatever. Eventually, of course, finds all the 7 signs, and of course stops the darkness from taking over the earth. End of story. Whoever wrote this, it was lame. The story was just really bad. It wasn't very good at all. Now, it may not be the fault of the author, okay? The author may have written some good books, but 90% of the time, when a screenwriter what they do is they find a particular book or something, and then they go, we want to make this movie out of your books, but you gotta let us write it. So what the screenwriter does is they typically rewrite the entire story half the time. I just keep elements of the story in the movie, and then they rewrite 80% of the book. And of course, it turns out to be a shitty movie because the story becomes lame. Because you had some decent actors in this movie. It was just the story was terrible. It was a terrible story. I didn't care for the movie. I gave it 2 thumbs down. I just didn't like the story. It was boring. You may like it. I did not. Check it out if you want to. Moving on. The next one I watched, you may have heard of this one. You may not have. The story is, or the name of the movie is called Eragon. Now, this was done in 2006, and it made about 250 million worldwide, which was okay. Wasn't bad. It starred Ed Spielers. Well, I'd never heard of him before until this movie. and the Sienna Guillory. Don't know who that is either, but she played the princess. The movie is basically, it's kind of like the Dragon Riders of Pern, which I prefer over Eragon 100 times better. Dragon Riders of Pern, those are some excellent books. You should check those out. But it's basically boy finds dragon egg. Dragon egg hatches, dragon becomes attached to boy. Boy and dragon bond. Boy becomes dragon rider. And through dragon he can do magic. And then, he saves the day. Because he's the last. So the story is, once upon a time there were tons of dragon riders. They all had their own dragons. Supposedly they were like the knights of law and order at some point in time. But one particular dragon rider got bored of protecting the people. Instead, he wanted to rule. So, which is played by John Malkovich, the bad guy. So, he proceeded to kill all the other dragon riders. They all began fighting, people choosing sides, until he killed them all one by one. Apparently, they have found one dragon egg. It's been, I think it was like 1,000 years since then that he's ruled, and the kingdom or whatever that the princess is from, they find a dragon egg. The king, the evil king, he sends out a evil mage called a shade to destroy the egg. The mage fails. The princess sends it somewhere, unbeknowingly sends it to a farm boy who becomes the next dragon rider. And then supposedly he's got to go to this army, resistance army, that's part of the new kingdom that's against the evil king. Along the way, the farm boy, he meets an old dragon rider who kind of becomes his mentor and teaches him how to become a dragon rider, which is played by Jeremy Irons. Great actor, by the way. One of the very few English actors I actually like. Anyways, he eventually makes it. He saves the princess from the evil shade, makes it to the resistance fighters. They have a fight. He kills the shade, and then that's pretty much the end of the movie. But the story's not over. The evil dragon rider king, he still lives. It shows you at the end. But that's the end of the movie. Apparently, there's a series of books of these, and they were going to do more. But the guy who wrote this book series was like, no, fuck you. You fucked it all up. You didn't even come close to what I wrote. You changed everything. You can kiss my ass. You're not doing anymore. So, you didn't get any more Eragon movies. Now, I've never read the books. I thought the movie was okay, but I don't know the stories in the books. But I get where I'm glad he did it. The guy who wrote the books, who created the books. Because again, like I said, a lot of these screenwriters, they'll get a hold of these books, want to turn them into movies, and then they shit all over and rewrite everything. There was a TV series called the Wheel of Time series. Now, I've read the books, and I love the books, but the series is nothing like the books at all. Too much DEI, feminist crap they put in that TV show. They destroyed the essence of the books. Love the books, hate the TV series. Anyways, so I get where he's coming from. I would be scared to death to let someone fucking take a story of mine and fucking rewrite it fucking for a movie. Fuck that shit. If you can't write it the way it's in the book, don't fucking do it. But anyways, this movie was, for me, it was okay. I gave a thumbs up and a thumbs down. I thought it was an alright movie. It wasn't terrible. But, like I said, I don't know the books. I'm just going based off the movie. Check it out if you want. If you like dragons in your stories. That's all I have for you this week. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you think of any movies, underrated, you think I never even heard of, B-rated shit, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you to be told the truth, and you've just been told.